guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is the third part of my trip to Poland video. If you haven't seen the other first two parts, I'm gonna link it up here somewhere so you can go ahead and check it out. So I'm gonna start with covering the third week of our vacation. So basically after coming back from my hometown, which I covered in my last video, you know, we kind of went to Warsaw for a day or two, and I pretty much washed our clothes. You know, we kind of repacked. That's why I like to have the apartment in Warsaw, so we can actually have like our base, so I don't have to, you know, drag all the stuff with us. I just kind of repacked, took the stuff that we want, because we were heading south of Poland to the mountain region, and that was pretty cold. Our trip started again, we took off from Warsaw, and this time I went with my brother, who was driving with his daughter in a separate car, so I was pretty much following him. And my brother suggested that why don't we just stop by in the city of Częstochowa just for 2 hours or so, because it was pretty much kind of on the way to the Krakow. That's where we're first heading. So I said, why not? It's been a while since I've been in Częstochowa, and Częstochowa is pretty much there is a very famous monastery, and I didn't take much footage in there because this is like a national shrine to the Virgin Mary. It's, you know, it's hard to record anything in there. It's just not, I think, like appropriate. Every day if you go there, you see thousands and thousands of pilgrims coming to this place from literally all over the world. We were there for about 2 hours, and I probably heard every possible language that existed, you know, that I knew of. That's how, you know, how many different people you can see, what variety you get in there. So it's a very, very special spiritual place, basically for all the Catholics. So after staying for about, like I said, 2 hours in the city of Częstochowa, we drove to the Krakow. So we got there, it was probably, I don't know, 8 p.m, 9 p.m. It was evening hours, so we just went for dinner. The next day we explored a Wawel castle. A Wawel castle, again, it's one of those historic places in Poland. And Krakow in general, it's a beautiful, beautiful city, and it's a home to the famous Jagielloński University, which you can study actually in English. You can study in Polish, you can study in English. They offer even, there's I think also a medical school that falls under the university that you can actually study in English. Lots of people from America comes to study there. So it's a very, very famous university, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Wawel castle. The Wawel castle is always has like a special place in my heart, because I visited quite a few times with my parents, and I really don't remember the last time I was there, probably 25-30 years ago, so as a little girl. So it was nice to see it again. It was nice to experience the beautiful place. And unfortunately I could not record there anything. I took some illegal footage of the beautiful cathedral and the castle itself. It was so hard to record. These people, you guys, were on top of me, and every time I took my camera out, they were just shouting at me, no recording, no record. I don't know why, don't ask me why. I thought it was bizarre, because all the places we visited so far, it was no problem, you know, in recording. So yeah, it was just kind of disappointing. My kids were very disappointed, because the only place that we really could legally record was when we got to the tombs. And the tombs place was really interesting. And again, I remember this, you know, from the time when I was a child going there. I always found it really, really special, because you see all those you know, kings there actually are buried there. You know, they have their all, you know, places, and I don't know, I just found this like pretty cool. So this was really the only place that I could legally records. On the Wawel castle, there is, in the cathedral kind of part of it, there's a famous bell which is humongous, you guys. It's humongous, and we end up climbing, I don't know how many steps was it, 80, I think, about 80 steps you have to go to climb to this bell tower. And it was a beautiful view on the old town kind of section of the Krakow. And you obviously can, there's like a legend saying that if you touch the heart of the bell and if you make a wish, the wish will come true. The next day we have planned to go to the Wieliczka. Wieliczka is a very small town near the Krakow, and it's famous for its salt mine. So this was the very first time, you guys, that I went there, and I could record, and I took quite a bit of the footage. I just had to pay like, I don't know, like $2 to get like a recording permit, so I just did it, and there was no problem. I could just take a footage with no problem. And basically it was very, very interesting. So if you ever want to go to Wieliczka, just make sure you wear very comfortable shoes, because you go 100, I think it was 55 levels before, or 135 levels before the under the ground. We took about 800 steps, so you have to be kind of, you know, in shape to do that. And the whole kind of trip took about 3 hours. And after those 3 hours, I was glad at the end that we could actually take a lift up, because I do not want to climb up 135 floors or something like that. It's just like the most bizarre thing. But I don't know if it's exactly floors or like they call them levels. I think it was 135, they say. I wouldn't call it a full level. They name it like a floor, so what the tourists are allowed to go. So it was pretty interesting place. We walked through the salt chambers. There was even a beautiful, humongous place, which it was made almost like a church, with the chandeliers. Whatever you see the chandeliers on the footage, they are all made of salt. And it's just amazing. There was a lot of like saline lakes, because there's so much salt in them. The guy that was with us, he said there's just no way you can drown in those, because the salt is just pushing you out, all the time. So he said it's just very interesting, but it was just such a beautiful place. We also got a chance to visit a downtown Krakow, and the old town is just beautiful. My kids still think the Wrocław was the most beautiful, but hey, I love Krakow as well. And you could see like this typical, buildings again, typical for this old town square. And what I liked and what I always remember as a child, it was going to this market section in this old town where you have lots of little shops when you can buy, from a little like knickknacks, to the more expensive stuff like leather jackets, beautiful leather handbags, and there's just tons and tons of stuff. What I end up getting there for myself, you guys, is this beautiful amber bracelet. So this bracelet was made from the Polish amber, and the amber is found in Baltic Sea, which is the north of the Poland. This is beautiful, and like you can see, those are like different colors of the amber, and I just think it's so stunning. So when I saw this bracelet, I knew I have to have it. So from Krakow, my brother and I end up going even more south to the town called Zakopane. And Zakopane is the town in the southern part of the Poland where you can find a famous Tatry mountains. Again, I've been there quite a few times with my parents when I was, much younger. This was really the first time, I think, that I went on my own, and I really wanted to bring my children because I just love the vibe of this place. You can see a lot of people wearing their kind of traditional to this region clothing, especially men. We call them górale. So in Zakopane we spent about, I think it was 4 or 5 days. We obviously took a walk through on the main street, when again you can see there's a lot of restaurants, a lot of shops. Then you go a little bit more down to get to this kind of a market area, which you can buy all sorts of stuff. And Zakopane is famous for their cheese, which is called oscypek, which is a cheese made of the sheep milk, I think. And they are famous for their shoes, for their leather jackets, you know, all sorts of furry items. And we end up going one of the day we end up going, taking a little train to the mountain called Wieliczka, and it has a beautiful, that mountain has a beautiful views. My kids love the ride. It was like probably about 5 minutes ride. You can certainly climb yourself, you don't have to take a train, but my kids just love going, you know, up and then down the mountain on the train. And yeah, we kind of sat there, have a little lunch, and look at the beautiful view. So we stayed in the beautiful log cabin, which was like in the suburbs of that town. And the reason we stayed in that cabin, it was because my sister also drove there from Poznań. So it was me with the 2 kids, my brother with his daughter, my sister with her husband and the daughter, and also my aunt came there. So it was a lot of us. We ended up renting, like I said, this beautiful log cabin, and it was just beautiful. We also took a few days, we were hiking and the views, the nature, it's just stunning. So overall, Zakopane was beautiful. We had a good time, even though the weather was not the best, but the whole vibe, you know, of the town, of the place, and you really can be there pretty much for a month and be busy. And especially if you are into hiking, it's an amazing place to be. So basically this wraps up the 3 weeks, the third week of our vacation. The last week we spent in Warsaw. So basically I returned the rental car, and me and the boys wanted to kind of do things and explore the capital of the Poland, which is Warsaw. When I was a teenager, when I was in high school, I used to live there for 3 years, because I went to the music high school, which is 6 years instead of your normal 4 years. So after graduating from regular high school, I was still attending the music high school, and I pretty much lived in Warsaw for a couple of years. So I thought I knew Warsaw, let me put it this way, but I haven't been living in Poland for more than 20 years, and I didn't realize how much the Poland changed, and especially the capital. So it was really nice for me to kind of revisit my places. You know, I show my kids the music high school where I went to. I show them the Chopin Music Academy, which is called now University. This was where I started my studies, you know, for the university studies for the first year before moving to America. And you know, just generally I wanted to show them Warsaw. We end up going to this this is called the Pałac Kultury. This is a big building in the center of the Warsaw, which was built by Russians. It was, I think it was like a gift, I might be wrong, to Poland. But anyway, you can take a lift all the way up to the top floor, and you can just see a beautiful, beautiful view of the entire city. To the tomb of the unknown soldier. This is another very famous place in Poland, and basically we went there because my kids are very much into soldiers and kind of military, and I know there's always soldiers there, so we wanted to see it, but we didn't know there was some kind of diplomatic visitation, I guess, happening, so we end up watching this whole parade, which was pretty cool. Near the tomb of the unknown soldier is the Dior boutique. There's a Dior, there's a Valentino, you know, lots of high-end boutiques. Louis Vuitton is a different place, but this is one of the newest, I would say, shopping kind of center, high-end shopping center. So I end up going to the Dior boutique, and if you follow me on Instagram, you saw I posted a picture. I look at some beautiful, beautiful Lady Dior bags. I look at some accessories. They have beautiful brooch. I think I mentioned it before. I didn't buy anything because the prices were pretty much the same. The handbags were roughly $300 less, but I didn't want to buy brand new bags just to begin with anyway, because I don't think they hold its value very well. but I was looking at some accessories that I wanted to buy so badly, and the price was pretty much the same, so it was just not worth it. We also visited Wilanów Castle. This is another castle which is I would say like a suburbs of Warsaw. That's like a little section of Warsaw. It's a beautiful castle. I've been there quite a few times, and it's kind of small. It's more like a palace, I would say. It's kind of small, but my kids loves it because it's such a, you know, historic place. It was very, very nice to see it. And if you ever visit Warsaw, you have to go to the Łazienki Park. Łazienki Park is called Royal Baths Park, and it's basically a beautiful and peaceful place where is a famous Chopin monument, and there's like a little kind of like a little lake in front of it, and there's a lot of sitting place, and many times, especially during the summer, they have a Chopin concert. So we end up going there twice because the Sunday before we left for Warsaw they had a concert in there. So my father and I, and of course the children, we end up going and listening to the beautiful Chopin performance by one of the Polish pianists. In Łazienki there's also a little, I would say like a little kind of mini palace, mini kind of house that it's you know, kind of like palace like, and they have again like a little lake there. You can take a little gondola if you wish to. I think just overall people who lives in Warsaw likes to come there for a walk, you know, because there's so much happening. They would have like those little bands playing or choir singings, you know, in various areas of the park. And it's just, they have also restaurants, you know, so you can have something to eat or just have an ice cream. It's just such a peaceful and beautiful place to be. So my kids absolutely love that place. So all they wanted to go, it was just, let's go again, let's go again. And my son would be just laying down on the grass and just enjoying the, you know, the peacefulness of that place. All right guys, so that's pretty much it. This I think this video might be a little longer than I expected, but yeah, this is pretty much it, you guys. We end up being in Poland a little bit over a month, and we enjoyed every single second of it. Well, maybe not every single second. There is one incident that happened when I got a flat tire, and it was quite an unpleasant experience, but I might be mentioning this in the kind of a wrap-up video. I want to do the video about things to know if you travel to Poland. You know, I thought this might be helpful for some of you who want to visit or who are planning to visit Poland. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna do kind of a video summarizing a couple of things, you know, that you should know pretty much when you want to go there, because like I said, Poland has changed a lot, and there's a lot of good things, but there's also a lot of not so good things. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do it in another video. So anyway, I hope you guys like it. Give me a thumbs up if you do. Again, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!